1. I'm working the desk solo at a full-service signature collection hotel in the downtown district of a popular NorCal travel destination, famous for its beaches, boardwalks, and surfing. It's late in the evening, 2 hours before the end of my shift, and most everyone is checked in when we receive a last-minute reservation. The name listed is only the last name with a single letter for the first, connected with the details of an entry-level member. Shortly afterward, they walk in, as lively as someone who seems to have traveled most of the day. I give my usual cheerful greeting, asking the last name and ID, which they produce. And they handle their ID in such a way as to obscure the name and photo. I reach out to handle the card personally to validate, but as I do, they pull it away. No. Sorry, ma'am, but I need to match the name on the reservation with your ID. This will only take a moment. No, you already have my last name. I showed you that I have an ID. That may be, but unless I can verify that the names match and the photo looks like you, I cannot proceed. No, I expect full privacy. I do not consent to you knowing my name. Ma'am, our hotel takes guest privacy very seriously, and takes every measure to make your stay as safe and secure as possible. However, I am required to ensure certain criteria are met in order to proceed with check-in. This policy is put in place to protect your privacy and safety, as well as prevent fraudulent charges. That's bull. I've been staying at Lariat hotels for years, and they have never required so much private information. I'm a member, for Christ's sake. Surely you can see that. I can't speak for other hotels' adherence to this policy, but this hotel is an independently owned and operated property, flying the Lariat flag, and I am required by 2 sets of corporate policy to meet basic criteria at check-in, ensuring only authorized guests are renting rooms at this hotel. If you are unwilling to meet that requirement, I will not proceed. This is outrageous. Who owns this hotel? I gave her the name of the management group name. No, who owns it? You said independently owned, and why are you showing up on the app if you're not owned by a Lariat? I'm not sure. I imagine a board of directors. And we're on the app because we're franchised with Lariat, as are a majority of the hotels within their collections. I'm going to call them right now and complain about you. I'd be delighted to provide you with their number. I'm sure they'd be happy to hear that I'm adhering to policy. However, seeing as how they're headquartered in the Midwest, I'm not sure you'll reach anyone directly this late. It'll be more convenient for you to send an email, which I'm also happy to provide you. So you're not going to check me in? Is that right? I would be happy to, so long as you hand me your ID and I can verify you are in fact the guest who rented this room for tonight. I already told you I expect privacy. Ma'am, since you are unwilling to provide proof of identity, I cannot and will not proceed. However, because you are a valued member and we are grateful for your loyalty, I will cancel this reservation without penalty once you make a case through Lariat member support, and you can find accommodations elsewhere that will meet your particular need for privacy. Fine. Wonderful. It sounds like we've found a resolution. There is a cozy lounge just a few steps away, where you'll also find a bartender who'll mix you up something lovely, if you'd like. You're welcome to relax in there while you arrange your next accommodations for tonight. No, I'm sorry. I'm gonna stand here until I find somewhere else to stay. Ma'am, I need you to step aside so that I may be readily available to assist another guest. Unless you'd like to order a beverage at the bar, there is no more business to be had between you and this hotel. No, I'm not leaving here until I'm finished. Ma'am, I am asking you kindly to please step aside so that I may conduct my job. As you are no longer a guest of this hotel, I'm now telling you to leave this property, or I will have no choice but to call for someone to assist you in doing so. This will be your only warning. You're terrible at your job. What's your name? I'm going to have you fired for being so unprofessional. My name is Sparkle Tippy-Toes. Here's my business card for your reference. Satisfied, she then steps to the end of the counter, far enough away to be out of the way, but still not entirely what I had requested. At this point I'm burnt and just want this interaction to end, so I relent to this small victory and ignore her until she's ready to leave. as she shuffled out toward the front door, dropping things along the way. I offer her a cold bottle of water so she has something else to hold. She cheerfully accepts before returning to the darkness from whence she came. As soon as I'm sure she's gone, I hang my "Be Right Back" sign and flee to the back lot for a smoke break. God, I love hospitality. 2. I work the 3 to 11 shift at a mid-sized hotel in a small southwestern tourist town. This Sunday, as I'm sitting in the back office watching the cameras, it's slow, so I take the opportunity to get off my feet. I see a police SUV pull up in the check-in area. I get up and go to the front desk, anticipating something stressful or annoying. However, the police come in and say, "We're just going upstairs." I respond that I'm happy not to be involved and continue checking in the man who walked in just before them. About 5 minutes later, the 2 officers leave without saying anything. Okay, strange, but clearly nothing I need to be worried about. That is until I get a call on the in-house line. It's the man who the police visited. "Hello, this is room 204. I just wanted to clear up why the police were here. I don't want any trouble, and I don't want any involvement with the police." Uh-oh, here we go. "There are fish in my pillow." Excuse me? Did you just say there are fish in your pillow? "Yes, there are fish in my pillow. It's like when you buy fish at a store and they come in that little bag. There were fish in here, and it blew up, and now there are fish all over the bed." At this point, I'm thinking, what in the hell? Maybe a housekeeper left a freshly cleaned room door propped open, and someone got in and pulled a very weird practical joke. So I relate to him that it's a very strange thing to happen, and ask him if he'd like me to switch him to a different room. He says yes, and I tell him to come down to the front desk and I'll move him. He arrives several minutes later, and I make him new keys for a new room. "So, there are fish in your pillow. That's the strangest thing I've ever heard." "Yes, and in the mattress too. You should get someone in from the BLM to pipe them back out into the river." I just, because I don't know what on earth is happening. "If you don't believe me, come up and I'll show you." "That's fine, I'll check the room a bit later. Let's just get you into a new room." So he's fine with that, and I think it's over except for me checking the room. But he calls about 3 minutes later. This time he's on an outside line, not inside. "Can you send someone up to help me? This room really creeps me out. I don't want to go back in there." I'm the only employee working at the property by this time, and we have maybe 2 or 3 reservations left to check in. "Sure, I'll be up in a couple of minutes to help." So I go up to the room, and he's standing outside it with a half-loaded luggage cart. He asks me to go get the rest of his things from his room and help him move them to the other. Not a service we offer, but I'm happy to help when I have nothing else to do. So I walk in the room and retrieve a few bags he has laying around and a couple of items from the fridge. At this point, I'm being careful and keeping a close eye on him, because though I am 6'4" and a mountain of a man, and he's about 5'5" and very small, I'm already questioning his sanity and motives. As I walk in, he says, "There's a woman in there too." I'm startled and look around the room, keeping him in my peripheral vision, and into the bathroom. I don't see anyone. "Well, you can't see her now, but she was bothering me earlier. And there are fish under the bed, see?" At this point, he pulls up the comforter and plops it in the middle of the bed, so that it's bubbled up. "See? Full of fish." I pull the comforter all the way back and fold it in at the end of the bed. I don't see anything. My response must have shaken him a bit, because he immediately says, "I swear I'm not on drugs and I'm not crazy. Please believe me." "Sir, it's really none of my business one way or the other. Let's just get you moved to the new room so that you're more comfortable." He continues swearing up and down that he's not on drugs, not crazy, begging me to believe him. And as we're leaving the room, he half shouts, "What's that?" and points. So I turn around, keeping a distance between him and myself, and look back into the room, nothing. Then he runs over to the easy chair we have in the room and grabs a pillow. "Where's this from?" I was uncertain and said, "I'm not sure. Turns out these are pillows we have in almost every room, with such a chair just for lumbar support." He asks if this kind of pillow is in any other room. I say, "I'm not sure. Let's check your new room." That room does not have the pillow. He is now convinced that the pillow is haunted and that it's the source of a ghost of the earlier woman who was in that room with him. Apparently, she's an old ghost woman who would need lumbar support. So I agree to move the pillow from the room, though he won't be using that room anymore. At this point, I'm just trying to make him feel more comfortable and calm him down. Again, he half shouts, "What's that?" But this time he is fixated on the ottoman in front of the chair. "Who sits like that?" "Sits like what?" "Like that. I don't sit like that. I'm a short man. I don't sit like that." Like what was a bit underlined. I had no idea what he was thinking. The ottoman is right next to the chair, exactly as a shorter person would have it if they were putting their feet up. Now he's convinced that the ottoman has something to do with the haunting. Before leaving the room, he flips it over upside down, kneels down, and appears to pray over it. So we get him in his new room, and I manage to pull myself away from him, get back to the front desk after I assure him that I will take the pillow and put it in a safe place, that I will not check anyone into his old room, and that I will contact management and ask them if I'm allowed to burn the haunted pillow. He offers to help burn it. Basically the end of the story, except that 15 minutes later, he called back to again insist he was not on drugs, and to follow up with me on whether I had contacted management about burning the pillow. Now, if the police had not already been up to visit him, I might be inclined to call them just to check that he's well, and not having a stroke or a psychotic episode. Probably, this is what a guest did and why the police showed up. But I assume the police came to the same conclusion I did. Dude was having the trip of his life. 3. Backstory. I work at the front desk at a medium, small, independent 3-star hotel. 130 rooms available. We also offer 2 wellness areas with a sauna and jacuzzi for rent by the hour. I don't work a specific shift. Sometimes I work a 12-hour day shift, sometimes a 12-hour night shift. Weird shit always happens during my night shifts. Note: SI units are used. Chapter 1. The Jacuzzi Bandit. One of the guests booked said wellness area for 1 hour between 9 to 10 p.m. and immediately complained that there were no bathrobes and that my supervisor, here from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., had promised her that there would be bathrobes, which seemed odd, given that we do not provide any at this hotel. Fortunately, he hadn't left yet, so I asked him and he denied ever promising anything like that. Fast forward 10 minutes. She comes to the reception without clothes and with just a towel around her to complain that the jacuzzi is ice cold and asked whether I can raise the temperature. She berated me about it and said that jacuzzis are supposed to have at least 42 degrees, which seemed a little off, but alright. I went in after she told me to change the temp and crank the thermostat on the jacuzzi to 40 degrees, the highest it would go. At the time, it was 33.5 degrees. After another 10 minutes, she called me to tell me that the water is still not at 40 degrees. I tried to explain that since the jacuzzi holds 300 liters of water, it would take either an incredible amount of energy or an incredibly long time to heat the water by 6 degrees. She emailed me a link to a Google search of how hot should jacuzzi water be. She'd self-confirmed when you clicked on the first search result that the temperature shouldn't go over 35 degrees if children are in the jacuzzi. She brought 3 children with her, the youngest being 8. And anything over 40 is dangerous to even adults. So much for minimum of 42 degrees. After her hour was up, she marched to the reception with a smirk on her face and a phone in her hand to, I guess, own me, with facts and logic with a Google search result that said the average jacuzzi temperature was 37 degrees. I had calculated the amount of energy and time needed for fun earlier after the last phone call, and tried to again explain that it would take a while to reach 40 degrees. He told me that we should have checked before they went in if the temperature was right, completely ignoring the fact that different people have a different idea of what the right temperature is. Hell, the thermostat is accessible to anyone who rents that room, so the previous renters probably turned the temp down because they thought it was too hot. One gem of a line was, "Didn't they teach you in biology class that anything below 37 degrees is legally considered cold water. She continued to verbally abuse me by telling me that a dumbass like me must have flunked middle school, and bragging about how she has a master's degree, and started recording me on her phone, despite me telling her that she can't do that. We're on private property, after all, and this was past the line of harassment at this point. She replied that she can do whatever the fuck she wants, especially if she's going to use the recording in court. Yeah, okay. Afterwards, she went to her room, only to call me not even 5 minutes later to let me know that one of the lamps in her room is unplugged. Come plug it in. For sure, I will. So I knocked on her door, she let me in, and I walked to the unplugged lamp. Tried to plug it into the radiator. Tried to plug it into the bed. And then said something like, "Aw, shucks, a dumbass without any education, such as myself, can't do something so complicated. I have no idea how any of this works." Only for her to start verbally abusing me again. I responded simply that if she really had a master's degree, she'd understand how to plug in a bed lamp. She started yelling at me to get out, and that she won't listen to abuse in front of her kids, and started to shove me out the door. I had peace for the rest of my shift. Chapter 2: The Aftermath. Right after my shift, she ended up walking up to the day shift to complain about me. From what my colleague told me, she told him in management the following: I was harassing her, she was afraid of me and so were her kids. I have access to the personal details including their address and I could come and hurt them any time. She is going to notify the police because I threatened to harm her kids. I am a dangerous psychopath. And to this I raised the following: being refused a full refund after you were caught lying twice and fully used the service is not harassment. If she was so afraid, why does she keep seeking me out to yell and abuse me? Not to mention, call me to her room for an absolutely mundane task. We only store addresses of foreign nationals, which means no, I do not know the address of a local Karen such as you. The threatening kids part is an absolutely vile lie and shows just how disgusting she is as a person. So here I am, at 2:40 in the morning of another night shift, contemplating whether I should go to the cops after my shift ends, and report her behavior as slander, given that she has lied to management in an attempt to, I guess, get me fired. 4. I worked in the restaurant industry for 14 years, so I know customer service. This is a thank you to all who go above and beyond in the hotel industry. Several years ago, my wife and I traveled to the Florida Keys. As my restaurant wouldn't allow managers to take a vacation in the bear months, we went in August before students arrived in our town. We landed in Miami and rented a car. Even for off-peak season, traffic was bumper to bumper on the 2-lane road connecting the islands. A long drive. We were staying on Islamorada, the halfway point from the Keys. A friend recommended an inn. It had less extensive stamps, so we didn't have to drive all the way to Key West that day. When we got to the inn, we were informed that our room would be ready in an hour. Cool. We parked, walked over to one of the outdoor bars, got a specialty cocktail, and just enjoyed not being in traffic. We admired the empty pavilion, commenting on how packed it would be this time next month. One day we'll be able to travel when we want to. After a cocktail or two, we got checked in and headed to our room. It was a little hard to find, but we made it up the couple of outdoor flights of stairs and around some corners, and walked by it a couple of times. It wasn't spaced like the rest of the rooms. The room, shoebox apartment-sized, has a double bed, a bathroom, and a TV hanging on a half-wall. There was enough room to sleep two on the ground. The actual space was small, but we were there to see the sights. This would be fine, only one problem. The air conditioner is running full blast, but the inside temperature of the room was only a couple of degrees Fahrenheit lower than the outside temperature. It's Florida in August, it's hot. We called the front desk and they apologized and let us know that an engineer will be over shortly. About 20 minutes later, we got a knock on the door, and a man in his late 50s introduced himself. Enter the angel, George. George tells us that the AC is probably frozen. He then discloses that he doesn't know why they rent this room out. It's a converted utility room. and the poor design of the half wall blows all the cold air into the closet area. He turns the AC off to let it defrost and tells us to turn it on in several hours. And that should take care of the issue. Cool, problem solved. We go to a local seafood place for an amazing dinner, then dancing at a shag bar. The shag is a southeastern American dance style. We get back to the room, turn on the AC, and spend the night sweating on top of the covers. Yeah, it's hot in Florida. We call the front desk again in the morning. George comes back. He tinkers with the AC, mumbling and grumbling. "Give me a few minutes," he says. "I can't make any promises." Sure, do what you gotta do. He comes back 20 minutes later, seeming very apologetic. He's mostly upset that we have the hassle of having to move to another room. He assures us that it's the same style of room, and that the rates will be the same. We're staying for another 5 nights. I take the new keys, a little incredulous. "George, what have you done?" My wife thanks him graciously with the idea of a room that's not 85 degrees. Over 29 centigrade. She doesn't know the room number yet. We thank George again, and he leaves us to get our belongings together. As we're heading to our new room, my wife asks if I know where the new room is. I got ice the night before and had a walk around, so I know the layout. I tell her there's another spot of rooms that seems like ours on the other side of the inn. We'll need to go up some stairs again. "As long as it's cool," is her reply. We get down the stairs, cut through a bit of parking lot, and walk under a breezeway. I stop. "Honey, you okay?" "Yeah?" I smile. "This is our room." She looks at me as incredulously as I looked at George. We open the door to a king's suite with a kitchenette and full bath. Beachfront access past our patio. "George, what have you done?" We get settled in, and I go out for a smoke. I see George on the path. I graciously thank him and chat with him a bit. He tells me he moved to the island 25 years ago and loves his wife. It's nice to help people be happy. He lets me know, however, about a meteor shower in a few nights, that it was lovely meeting us, and that he's sure he'll see us around. That was the last time either of us saw him. Thank you, George, and thank you to all in the industry who know what hospitality is truly about. We'll be back when we head that way again. Customers, please be patient and kind. Sometimes the reciprocation can be immeasurable. 5. I've been working in the hotel industry for about 3 years now, but just in the front desk for 1. You could say I have a passion for what I do. I love all my co-workers, and I absolutely love making all my guests happy and satisfied. Today I just clocked in on this lovely Sunday afternoon. My GM was filling me in on the information on how her day was going and all the normal shift-changing things. I had this wonderful lady come in from out of town, and she asked to see a room. So of course I give her a limited-use key, take her ID, and give her directions on where she can find her room. About 5 minutes later, a local comes in. Now I know most hotels don't rent out to locals, and I can't even imagine how many locals we have on the DNR, because since I started working here, I know I've put at least 35 people on that list. But we're one of the few in my town that do rent out to locals. She comes in, and this is how the exchange goes. "Hello, how are you?" "Hi, I'm doing well, thank you." "How can I help you today?" "Well, I was wondering if I could get a room and if you guys rent out to locals." "Yes, ma'am, we certainly do. We do ask for a $250 cash deposit only, just for incidentals, because we're a non-smoking, pet-free hotel." "Oh, yes, ma'am, that's perfectly fine." One of my co-workers then comes up to our front desk and waves to me, and I wave back, and I tell her to have a great day. "Well, okay then." "Oh, I'm sorry to offend you, but we're all just very good co-workers around here." "Oh no, I just have a lot of things going on at home, and you just couldn't understand." "You're fine. I'm sorry if I offended you in some way." "Do you want me to go somewhere else?" "No, ma'am, you're absolutely fine. Just give me 1 second to grab those rates for today for you." "You know what? I'm just gonna go to another hotel." "Oh, okay, ma'am. I hope you have a wonderful day." "I'm tired of you fucking assholes." "Okay, ma'am, you need to leave now." "You're nothing but a stupid bitch, you know that?" I proceed to pick up the phone and dial the non-emergency line, not losing eye contact with her. And now you're calling the cops? You're so mature. Ma'am, I've done nothing but try to help you since you walked through the door. I apologize if you have something going on at home, but I have nothing to do with that. In fact, I don't even know your name. What I do know is you're now causing a disturbance in my lobby. And since you don't need my help anymore, you don't need to be in my lobby. Since you're refusing to leave, I have no choice but to call the cops now. This isn't your lobby. It is on my shift. She shortly leaves after she realized I wasn't going to entertain her anymore, and the cops did find her in our parking lot and put her on no trespass. I just thought I'd share this experience with you all, considering I know you've had to deal with someone like this shortly after clocking in, if you work in the hotel industry. I hope you all have a lovely day, and please wish me luck for these next 7 hours. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Coahw, episode 107. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Please do boink the like button before you go, I'd appreciate it. Alrighty, I don't think we have any other business today that I recall. Nope, so I'm going to move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, if money was not an issue, would you rather have a very large house with many, many rooms, so big you'd probably have to hire people to help you maintain it, or a smaller but well-furnished house that has all your basic needs met? Personally, I'd like a little more room than I currently have, but I wouldn't want to live in like a mansion. I mean, I wouldn't want to need a golf cart to get from one end of my house to the other. I think there is such a thing as too much space, but I do live alone, and I'm happy with the space I have, although I would enjoy a little bit more. Maybe enough for like a home office, or a garden house. You know, like a garden house, so that's where my office would be. So it's not attached to the house, but it is on the premises. It's on the property. But let me know what you think in a comment below. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.